Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. We've been given a stark insight into the reality facing staff at Royal Hobart's Emergency Department. Speaking at the ambulance ramping inquiry, a nurse manager describing patients collapsing in the waiting room as he pleads for the politics to be stripped from health policy making.
Since David Pittaway joined the Royal Hobart Hospital's emergency department as a nurse 13 years ago, he's seen what he describes as a stream of burnt-out staff quitting to move interstate.
This is unsafe. I don't want to be here when I don't want to front a coroner's court. That is a very common concern of people who have left the department.
The veteran nurse describing the bleak situation at the coalface of the state's biggest hospital.
When the hospital is at escalation level 4, which used to be front page news, but now it's just it happens every day and no one cares about that.
Telling the inquiry, people in waiting rooms are often neglected as staff focus on trying to get patients off ambulance stretchers.
And that's where we've had people collapse. That's not a rare event either, having people collapse in the waiting room. Right. And then then it's a game of shuffling chairs.
He's made an impassioned plea for a bipartisan approach to fixing the broader issues which are causing bed block in Tasmanian hospitals, leading to flow-on effects in his department.
The emergency department is not the problem. Please do not tinker with the emergency department. Ambulance Tasmania are not the problem. The problem is flow out of the hospital.
A common sentiment from witnesses at the hearing.
Same as bases in baseball. You know, once you've got all the bases full, you can only move when everyone moves. That's the problem we have in our system so often. So if we have a blockage or a restriction somewhere, that holds everything up on the way through.
Public submissions have been reopened until November 24. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
A former Tasmanian and Olympic boxer has been charged after he attempted to fly out of Hobart Airport, allegedly with a large amount of cash. For more, we're joined by reporter Ruby Cairns. Ruby, in a joint federal and state operation police swoop this morning.
That's right, Kim. Australian Federal Police confirmed Luke Jackson allegedly attempted to fly from Hobart to Sydney with $150,000 concealed in a lining of a luggage bag. Police say he wasn't able to explain why he had the cash on him. It was then seized, believed to be the proceeds of crime. The former Tasmanian was the captain of the Australian boxing team at the London Olympics in 2012. He faced the Magistrates Court today. Kim.
Okay, thank you very much there, Ruby. Liberal MHR Bridget Archer has joined the Australian Education Union's bid, calling on the federal government to ensure every Tasmanian public school is funded up to a basic benchmark level. Both are claiming all public schools across the state are underfunded by around $2,000 per student, equating to roughly $118 million a year.
We service 2/3 of the children and families in Tasmania. So, nearly 70% of kids go to state schools in Tasmania, but they're dramatically and drastically underfunded.
It's a reasonably modest investment that is being called for that would make a massive difference to educational outcomes and student and teacher wellbeing.
The member for Bass dismissed claims she's going against the Liberal Party, adding she still plans to run as a Liberal at the next election. Police have returned to Duckhole Lake searching for the remains of Bruce Fairfax, who disappeared without a trace in 2017 while on a hike with his wife. Search and rescue volunteers joining detectives on a 2-day search for fresh clues after a criminal investigation was opened into Bruce's missing person case last week. Extensive searches of the area at the time found no trace of the 66-year-old. A landmark legal battle is underway in Launceston as the Wilderness Society attempts to prosecute its own criminal case against Forestry Tasmania, accused of breaching its permit in the Styx region. If the private prosecution is allowed, it would be the first case of its kind.
This case of alleged illegal logging, criminal logging by Forestry Tasmania, contains 7 alleged breaches. These breaches relate to logging inside streamside reserves, as well as logging outside of the harvest boundary.
After hearing submissions from both sides, the magistrate will decide whether the case can proceed next month. Rest Point Casino, the Festival of Voices and St Luke's Health are among 15 new businesses who've joined a scheme aimed at promoting good workplace culture. The Employers of Choice program, recognising those who have committed to fostering diversity and inclusion. Members say supporting staff pays off in the long term.
Industry average, you could find different reports, but anywhere between 55 to 80% turnover. We very proudly sit at under 20% turnover, and that's a huge reduction to our bottom line.
So by making sure that we're looking after our people, we can deliver great things for our staff, for our customers, and for the broader community.
More than 100 businesses are now part of the initiative. A Hobart Health Service has stepped in at the final hour following the closure of the Greenpoint Medical Facility. The move considered a lifeline for the Bridgewater community, who feared the region would be without a doctor. Ruby Cairns has this exclusive report.
Saving thousands of Bridgewater residents the burden of having to travel for their healthcare.
The likelihood of those people not being able to get appropriate medical care would be very much a reality.
The Your Hobart Doctor service today revealing to 7 Tasmania News a plan to take over the facility after the current operators of Greenpoint Medical Services announced it would close back in mid-September, citing a lack of doctors and available nurses.
We're looking to expand at Greenpoint. We're looking to increase the opening hours at Greenpoint. We're looking to provide urgent care at Greenpoint.
Despite some challenges, it means a continuation of a vital primary healthcare service, something expected to take pressure off the Royal Hobart Hospital.
40%, 4 out of 10 people that present at our emergency department are not emergency. This means that they can be cared for in their local community.
The thought of those people not having access to general practice was something that we felt was not tolerable.
The service hopes to start with around 6 full-time doctors and 15 rooms to occupy many more once it's up and running to provide critical local care to those who need it most. While an urgent care clinic is something in the works for the future facility.
When we're talking about extended hours, that will be running from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. Hopefully 7 days a week.
Your Hobart Doctor plans to take over sometime next month. No doubt welcome news for a community no longer left in doubt. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Organisers of the iconic Point to Pinnacle event are calling for last-minute entries to come forward and join the 2,000 other entries planning to take on the 21-kilometre race. Team Overeem Whisky have entered a team of 50, hoping to cart a whisky barrel to the top of Mount Wellington. That's over 1,200 metres in elevation.
This year the barrel will do the race itself, and then in 2025, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Point to Pinnacle, we'll be auctioning off these bottles of the whisky for charity.
We're actually aiming to try and build the race out to 5,000, so it looks like we'll get to about 3,500 this year, and we'll aim to get to, hopefully to 4,000 next year.
The event kicks off on November 19. If you aren't a keen golfer, 18 holes might sound like a lot, but Cancer Council Tasmania is calling for volunteers to play 72 as part of the longest day. Keen golfers can sign up for a marathon day on the fairways at their local course, collecting donations for the effort as organisers aim to raise $50,000 statewide and spark a conversation.
Are known to be 2.5 times more likely to get skin cancer in their lifetime, obviously because of all the out in the great sunshine, exposure to the UV radiation. So it's also really great to get the message across to that group of wonderful people.
The longest day is officially on December 11, but golfers can take part anytime through December and January. Foodbank's school breakfast program has scored a big boost, with the organisation receiving a $40,000 donation this afternoon from one of Tasmania's most iconic sporting events. The money was raised at last month's Relive the Rivalry charity football match. It's the biggest amount raised in the game's 11-year history, with the funds to feed children in need.
If we can get the kids off the streets and into the classrooms, that's ticked a big box. Breakfast is the most important part of the day. There are no learning outcomes when you've got a rumbling tummy.
These kids don't get a choice, so obviously what Food Bank do and distribute is amazing to make sure that those kids get a meal every day.
The donation is expected to fund 80,000 meals.
Jack Jumpers captain Clint Steindl has thanked friends and family as he prepares to mark a special milestone this weekend. He'll play his 300th NBL match against the 36ers, with the coach still looking for a better defensive effort from his side.
From winning championships to captain of Tasmania, Clint Steindl's basketball career has gone from strength to strength. But with game 300 on the horizon, he says it's people and teammates who've made his journey so special.
The best part about playing this many games is meeting the people along the way in the journey, and then being able to share the journey with people that are close to me.
The former Crocodile, Wildcat and Taipan, however, has a special spot for his current home, which he joined as a foundation player.
The group of guys, coaching staff, support staff, front office that we have here makes it that much more special and very enjoyable.
Steindl's dedication and professionalism winning praise from Scott Roth.
How he carries himself on and off the floor and his professionalism are all huge factors of why I wanted him with me.
One area still under the pump is the team defence. Despite a win over the Bullets in Launceston, the coach remains far from impressed.
Not really. We have a long way to go in those areas. We have a lot of undisciplined fouls, a lot of unnecessary gambles.
Steindl's 300th takes place in Adelaide against the 36ers on Saturday. The Jackies wary of a team who have begun finding form after a poor start to the season.
They're really good and talented and athletic, and we'll have our hands full with them.
Adding Vasiljevic into their roster has provided a scoring punch after the start they had. They've kind of kick-started some momentum.
Meanwhile, Will Magnay's long-awaited return is not too far away.
Tomorrow morning he'll have an assessment, and if all goes well, I think he'll be on the court hopefully before the FIBA break.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
They might be out of the finals race, but the Tassie Tigers women's coach says winning still matters in their final Hockey 1 game of the season. A win over Adelaide on Saturday would see Tassie avoid the dreaded wooden spoon. The coach challenging his players to put a full 4-quarter effort together.
The girls have accepted that challenge, and I think that we tend to lean towards being hungrier to improve. So I'm hoping to see that this weekend.
The men's side has scored a boost with Kookaburra star Josh Belts to return against Adelaide. The squad has a simple equation ahead of them: win and play finals, or lose and face a nervous bye weekend.
Our message to our players is exactly the same. Continue the same processes we've been doing, keep playing the way that we've played, and good results will come.
The team is also looking to break the league record attendance figure of 2,282 set by Canberra in October. After securing gold at the World Masters Senior Tennis Championships in Spain, Hobart local Stephen Dance is turning his attention to his next big sporting challenge, the Australian Senior Champs. 125 teams of players aged 65 and over will take to Hobart for the event.
So we're used to the courts here, so that certainly will be something we'll be looking forward to, playing other teams and individuals from around Australia on our courts. Yep.
Play gets underway at the end of January. And Kim, just into the newsroom, Liam White has claimed line honours in the Tour of Tassie's first stage. Not a bad way to celebrate your 29th birthday, hey?
Good one, and in warm conditions, no doubt. Thank you very much, Nick.
Good evening. Warm and humid conditions continue today with sea fog extending over some coastal areas. Isolated showers developed during the afternoon and a few thunderstorms formed over inland areas also. Hobart 22, Launceston 25, Devonport 18, Burnie 19 degrees. Across the state, 25 also recorded at Bushy Park, Luncheon Hill, St Helens and Grove all 23. Friendly Beaches 22, Low Head 20, 19 for King Island, Marai Island and Lyowini, Flinders Island 18, Strawn 17 degrees. Very low cloud over Maritime maritime areas today. Cumulus cloud developed inland during the afternoon. The satellite shows a large area of cloud and thunderstorms extending over central Australia over to New South Wales. There's also some isolated thunderstorms over parts of Victoria, Tasmania and the tropical north. Tomorrow, a warm, humid northwesterly airstream continues to cross the state as the cold front approaches from the west. A trough lies over WA and SA, while a weak ridge of high pressure extends over eastern Queensland. Northeast to northwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots tomorrow, increasing 20 to 30 knots about the east during the afternoon. Southwesterly swells in the west and south building up to 2 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued for the lower east coast tomorrow. Forecast for Friday, warming up in Hobart 27, similar conditions in Huonville 28, 29 and mostly sunny in Campania. Also warming up in the north, Launceston partly cloudy 27, partly cloudy also in Devonport 22, much the same and 25 for Georgetown. Slightly cooler in the west, Burnie 19, cloud also for Strawn 22, bit of cloud hanging around in Wynyard with 20 degrees. Cloudy in St Helens 23 is the top, partly cloudy in Swansea 25, mostly sunny skies in Port Arthur with 24 degrees. Saturday, showers about the west extending statewide during the morning, then contracting to the northeast in the afternoon. Possible morning coastal fog expected. Sunday, showers about the west and south, fine elsewhere apart from possible showers about the northeast. Monday, fine apart from light showers about the west and far south. Summer has arrived early in Adelaide tomorrow, expecting a lovely 40 degrees. Possible storms in Darwin 32, cloud clearing in Melbourne 31. Sydney and Brisbane both partly cloudy and 27 degrees. Hobart, partly cloudy, 19 degrees currently. Launceston, sunny skies, still 22. Also sunny in Devonport. Certainly warming up across the state tomorrow, Kim.
It's not even summer or December. Thank you very much there, Kaya. Well, that is all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. For now, good night.